There's very little research on this, and because there's so many different factors from being bilingual and then the added risk of having dyslexia. For example, I'm taking English learners right now as an example, and that's the #1 growing population in the United States. If you look at these students, if you carefully look at their risk factors or their characteristics, if you can characterize them or assess them carefully, then phonological awareness, phonemic awareness, these problems and rapid naming and these kind of early predictors for dyslexia also applies to English learners. So in Spanish-English English learners, you would look at both English and both Spanish, and then look at phonemic awareness, rapid naming, these risk factors, and carefully study them, and that would give you a comprehensive understanding of whether the child might be at risk for developing dyslexia, for example. Family history is also the same, and it's a big factor. Often people who are teachers who are great at looking at students, it would be really helpful if they know that if you have a family history, so a parent or a sibling with dyslexia identified ideally, then that jumps up the probability that the suspicions should get much higher. So we know that if you have a family member, close family member, you have about 1 in 2 chance of developing dyslexia or having poor reading abilities. And so we should really take into account these other clues as well when we're looking at the student. Not just and of course in both their languages, if we had the luxury to be able to take a close look at them. The added difficulties with English learners in particular is that they may have come from a culture where they haven't valued education as much, or no one really went to school, but just because they didn't go to school, it doesn't mean that they had reading problems. So there's a cultural factor, and for example, whether they were in the country was in crisis, or and that no one could attend school, and these factors needs to be taken into account as well. So we're right now trying to develop some family history measures, which is commonly used and very reliable in the United States, to see how we can modify it or take bits and pieces that are still valid for English learners, and hopefully we'll have something to share in the near future.